Welcome to The Culture. We rest at the pulse of the community, providing all things news, music, fashion, events, and everything that we talk about in between. It's a lifestyle. We are The Culture. Hi, and welcome to The Culture. My name is Jessica Garrett Modkins, and thank you so much for joining us today. We have joining us a friend to the show. He is Ruban Roberts, the NAACP Miami Chapter President, as well as RER Consulting CEO. Welcome to the show today, Reuben.
Thank you for having me, Jessica.
I'm so excited to jump into our topic today, and it's all about mental health. First, let's start with how did you get involved in the mental health field?
Well, my background is basically in mental health. I cut my teeth working at the University of Miami as a brief strategic family therapist. I then later on became a model manager and a supervisor, trained people all over the world on brief strategic family therapy. So that's how I started. And it's been a passion of mine in terms of making sure that we create, health and wellness for especially marginalized communities.
And we thank you for that, especially with the fact that you have just recently launched a new program entitled Mental Health and Wellness. Can you tell us about the program and why did you develop it?
So, during COVID, when it first kicked off, we noticed that a lot of folks were getting laid off and so many really drastic changes were happening here in South Florida. So, schools were closed, people were self-isolating, and then you were just hearing a lot of stories, from folks who were just dealing with just the issues of COVID, and being stressed out, feeling anxious, not certain about the future. So I spoke with a good friend of mine, and we talked about maybe we should develop something for this to deal with these issues. And so I put pen to paper, developed the program with help from my wife and my friend, and we submitted it to the county, and it was approved and funded through the CARES Act program.
Now, RER Consulting has partnered with several other organizations. Tell us those organizations, and then after that, we're going to delve into the program and how it works. But first, let's talk about what are the other partners that you have with you for this program.
So initially, of course, the funder, which is Miami-Dade County, is our primary person, and then we have two other primary partners, as well as a host of other partnerships that we have. So we have also partnered with New Horizons Mental Health Clinic, and they provide the care coordination team and the follow-up in terms of the referrals to services. And then we also partner with Barry University. Barry University does our weekly modules on COVID-related issues. So they teach you about coping strategies, and they also give you weekly updates on what's going on with COVID here in South Florida.
And all of that is going to make sense once we delve into the program right now. So let's start. I am someone who a friend just suggested for me to take this assessment online at your website, mymentalhealthmiami.com. I've gone onto your website, I've clicked the link, and now what am I to expect at this point, and about how long is it going to take?
So the questionnaire link is to your right of the website. We encourage you to go in and click on that immediately when you go on the website, and then answer the questions that's on the questionnaire. It's about 10 minutes. And think about it, 10 minutes is not a lot of time when you're dealing with issues that really affect your life. Now, the pivotal point of this program is the scorecard that you'll receive. Once you complete the questionnaire, you'll receive a scorecard, will populate on your screen. You'll see. So you'll see where you are in terms of the indexes, in terms of where you are in terms of stress levels, anxiety level, depression, and your level of support. Once that's completed, another screen will appear, and will give you the opportunity to enter your email address. You enter your email address, and that email will be forwarded to New Horizons care coordination team. It's very important that you enter that email address, because There's so many things that may be related to the stressors or anxiety, like employment opportunities, like food opportunities that you need to be aware of, housing opportunities. The rent and mortgage moratorium is coming up, and you may need to know where to get that assistance. Well, that care coordination team will direct you to wherever services that you need. And if you need further mental health services, during that brief consultation with you, they'll determine whether you need some additional counseling services, and then they will refer you to those appropriate people. All of that is free in terms of getting the information, the scorecards, taking the surveys. You must be a Miami-Dade resident over 18 years old, and then you can get that information. Let me tell you why this is so important. A lot of us, we've already been so stressed out even prior to COVID, especially Black and marginalized communities. And so what's happening right now, the numbers are peaking through the roof. If you have a family member that you know or associate that has been affected by the virus directly or indirectly, if you have family members that are older or younger, and you're one of those essential workers, and we, Black people, marginalized people, by and large, are on the front lines every day. So we have the propensity of being exposed to this virus. Then this is something that you need to fill out, because what happens is we internalize stressors, we internalize, the anxiety, and we're not even aware of what's going on with us. So the most important thing that you need to do is gain awareness of where you are on that spectrum, and then seek whatever assistance that you need. It's anonymous. So there's no identifiers on there. You don't have your name, you don't have your address. You just put an email address down there and people will follow up with you. If you want to call in, you can call into our care coordination team at 786-433-8502. Or if it's after hours and you need someone to speak to, not in the case of an emergency, not in the case if you feel suicidal or anything like that, but you need someone to speak to, you can call our hotline number, which is 786-476-7908. So after you've done the survey, after you've connected with the care coordination team and got connected with the appropriate resources. And by the way, we have some of those resources on our website that you can look at, but the care coordination team has a more in-depth referral booklet for you. After you've done all of that, we have our weekly COVID-19 modules that's facilitated by our other partner, Barry University. And Barry University professors will take you through what's going on with COVID here in South Florida. Now you'll know the most recent numbers. You'll get that on our website as well. And then they'll tell you about strategies and coping strategies that you can use to take you on that path of wellness. Our whole program is designed to make sure that you go to a path of wellness. Right now, there's so many uncertainties in our lives. We don't know what tomorrow is going to hold. We don't know if the schools are going to remain open or if they're going to close down. We don't know if the job market is going to improve. There's so many people who are unemployed right now. We don't know whether or not, for some of us, whether, we're going to lose our homes or lose our places of residence. So one of the things that we want to do is make sure that we have all the tools that we need to really help us through this really trying time.
So let's go back to the beginning with our questions. I've logged on to your website. I'm taking this survey. How are those questions going to equate to the person or the program understanding my mental state, whether or not I'm stressed? How does that work?
So the questions were developed by our researchers that are on my team, and the researchers have used validated survey, or if you understand the instruments, that means that they're empirically validated. They've already been tested many times over. And then out of the data that's entered, a score will be developed to tell you where you are on the range. So you have low, moderate, and high. And of course, what we've been finding is that there are a lot of folks that are really stressed out. We've been finding that there's a lot of folks that have high anxiety. And then we've also found that some folks had a lot of support as well. So what happens with that is that it tells you where you are and what you really need to look into. Why is this important? Anytime, you have a pandemic or a natural disaster, folks, when they're dealing with stressors are not aware of it, but you may find yourself drinking a little more. Or if you use substances, you may find yourself engaging in using those substances a lot more than you normally do. The other thing that we've been made aware of is that domestic violence tends to spike during these times as well. So there may be so many other issues. If you're isolating in the house and you have a lot of people in there with you, there's a lot of tension that can develop as a relate of being in such close quarters for long periods of time. So what's important is that you find out what your score is, find out how you can get some services that will help you, and that's where we go as far as that first stage and the instruments that are used to give create the score for you.
Ruben, we talked about some of these things back, I want to say almost 6 months ago when you were here on the show, joined by Dr. Bestman. What are some triggers that people can look to say, oh, these are the things that I'm going through. So this probably is a program that I may need to take one of the surveys to find out if I really am stressed. Because as we know, Black people just keep moving. We
Yeah,
don't stop. We
right.
do not assess. We press through. We are just very vigilant and strong people. And while we are strong, we may not recognize what some of those outlining triggers may be. Can you help our viewers to understand what are some things that could be stressors in our life that we just think are normal because
Yeah,
we just keep moving?
right. So you're absolutely right, and things that we need to really pay attention to is just how we respond. If you notice that your attention span is kind of brief, if you notice that you get angry very easily, if you seem to be always on edge, you may have some anxiety going on. Or if you notice that it's just hard for you to get out of bed in the morning, the drapes are drawn or the shades are drawn, and you just don't have that energy. You have low energy and that sort of thing. You may be dealing with some levels of depression. So, and then the other part of it is, if you have family members who are very vulnerable and they live in a home with you and you just don't have enough space where you can separate yourself from these family members, whether it may be an older family member or someone that's very young, an infant or that sort of thing, and you're constantly concerned about, and when I leave this house and when I come back in, am I bringing anything back that's going to affect my family in a negative way? Those things are stresses. Those things and the way that you react to them are things that will let you know that you maybe need to have someone to talk to or try to get some additional services. If you're worried about how you're going to pay your bills, I can't even imagine what it would be like for especially a young family and who's been laid off and not knowing, where the next meal is coming from, how they're going to feed their young children, how they're going to feed their family, how they're going to take care of themselves. We have that information for you about, just assistance in areas of, for your utilities, assistance in terms of, if there's something that you need in terms of housing. You can find that on our webpage at mymentalhealthmiami.com, or you can also get that information from our care coordination team at 786-433-8502. But we invite you to go to the website, take the questionnaire, and then that will help you get the information that you need for those additional services.
Earlier in the show, you talked about your partners over at Barry University and the workshops that they do on your Facebook page on Thursday evenings at 5:30 on your My Mental Health Facebook page. Question for you. At these workshops, what can people expect?
So what you can expect is that you're going to get top line information from professionals, mental health professionals on a PhD level that deals with these issues on a regular basis. So they're going to give you coping strategies. They're going to give you things that you may not even be aware of that may help to cause stress. They're going to talk to you about things like, be careful and be mindful of your intake of the 24-hour news cycle. That's just one. I'm not going to give it all away, but that's just one, because that creates a level of stress too. We just came off of a very contentious election for the next president. And that's something that creates stress. And for some of us, it still creates a level of stress because there's still a lot of uncertainty about things that are going on, even now after the election is over and presidential elect has been chosen. So those types of things are things that we need to be mindful of, because what can stress do? Stress can elevate. If we already have been identified with comorbid issues. Stress can elevate your blood pressure. If you're diabetic, it can help to raise your sugar levels, that sort of thing. So what we want to do is make sure that in addition to whatever medical services that your medication that you may be using, that you have some other tools and techniques that you can use to really lessen the stress, the anxiety, the depression, to help you be able to cope and put you on that path to wellness. Listen, this is happening now, but there is a path to wellness, and we want to help you get to that path of wellness.
Well, I can tell you from last night's rebroadcast of your first workshop, Dr. Tien, when she talked about not looking back and grieving for pre-COVID conditions and the way that we used to fellowship, and that now is the time for you to create new traditions and to look forward to a new day and creating your new normal. That was just a word of encouragement for me, because it wasn't something that I thought that I needed to shift my perspective. And those type of nuggets are good. And even if that person may just stumble upon your Facebook page, there's something, I think, for everybody. I just think everybody can gain something by coming on a Thursday night at 5:30 and listening and participating in your workshops that you're providing.
You're absolutely right. So you can do that on our Facebook page, and then you can also go to our webpage. We have affirmations there on our webpage. We have things, again, strategies that you can use. We have resources available to you. There's a $500 grant program for anybody that worked in the hospitality industry in Miami-Dade County. We have that information. You click on our resources and you can find where you can apply for that particular grant opportunity. There, we have opportunities for employment through the Beacon Council, where they're paying living wages and they're also providing wraparound services. So those of you who are not certain about going back into the workforce because you don't have childcare, well, this program actually provides childcare services for you. And for those of you who may not have a solid transportation, they provide transportation for you. So there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of things that are going on. And Dr. Tien is absolutely right. This is the time right now that we need to be looking at how we reinvent ourselves. Opportunities are existing right now that we're not aware of. And a lot of times what happens is that those opportunities pass us by because we don't have the actual resources or are not aware of what resources are available to us. So we encourage you to come to the mymentalhealthmiami.com so that you can find out about what those resources are, or call our care coordination team at 786-433-8502, and then they can link you to those resources. But we want you to make sure you know where you are in terms of your levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. So we encourage you, when you go to the website, to make sure you do the survey. You must complete the survey in order for you to get the scorecard. You can't get the scorecard if you do not complete it. It's a very brief survey. 10 minutes of your time will give you valuable information that will be very helpful to you.
Now, I know this program is here in Miami and it is free, and we have viewers all over the US, especially in our neighboring counties. Is this something that you and your company will be broadening outside of Miami-Dade County?
Yeah, we're looking for opportunities to definitely go into other counties. And it doesn't have to be in Miami-Dade, Broward. It can be beyond those borders. But we definitely want to spread this type of program because we know the importance of the program. There's always been a lot of stigma behind mental health. And that's why we choose the word mental health and wellness, because we're looking at how we can help people, navigate through some of the issues that they're facing. Listen, there's not a human being on the face of this earth that doesn't deal with, at some point in their life, anxiety, depression, stress. Those are things that are just common to every human being. There's no need to feel, uncomfortable about it. It's better to get a better understanding of it and better to find coping strategies so that you can minimize those levels in those areas.
Reuben, before we leave, I would like to give you an opportunity to just give our viewers your closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts are this: you are important. We see you, we hear you, we understand you. We know that this is a difficult time. And even though we're trying to strive to get to a place of normalcy, what we really need to make sure that we do is take care of ourselves. For those of you who have family members that are depending on you, for those of you who have friends that you're concerned about, it's very important that we get the information that we need to help us navigate these very difficult times, if you will. So, from RER Consulting and the COVID-19 Mental Health and Wellness Program, we just want to again invite you to come out, take advantage of these free resources. Make sure that you go to mymentalhealthmiami.com and take the questionnaire and peruse the website to get more information. And then also contact our care coordination team that will give you some additional information at 786-433-8502. And then on Thursdays at 5:30, just tune in on our Facebook page, My Mental Health. And that way you'll be able to get updates from professors on the university level, from Barry University, that will give you updates and give you just coping strategies on how to deal and how to navigate during this time of pandemic.
Well, thank you so much, Reuben, for joining us. And to the Culture family, we invite you to join in tonight at 6 p.m. for another edition of My Two Cents. As always, it's been good. Thanks for joining us.
The Culture is produced and owned by Hip Rock Star Media and cannot be reproduced or broadcast without written consent by Jessica Garrett Modkins. All rights reserved 2020.